The wind howled like a pack of wolves, tearing at the wooden slats of Eli's old ranch house. Rain pelted the roof in sharp, staccato bursts, turning the dirt yard into a slick, muddy mess. Eli squinted through the curtain, his calloused hands gripping the frame. Out there, battling the storm, was a figure, a woman, half collapsed near the fence, twisting in the wind. She wasn't walking, she was fighting to stay upright, and every gust seemed determined to throw her down. Eli didn't know her. Nobody did, not in these parts. And yet, something in the way she moved, fragile, desperate, pulled at him. A warning hissed in his mind, but another, stronger voice said, "Bring her in." He opened the door before he could think twice. The storm hit him like a fist. Rain soaked him in seconds, and there she was, shivering, muddy, torn. Eli grabbed her, hauled her inside. She sagged into his arms, barely conscious. Her eyes flickered open, shadowed with pain and something darker. "It's too late for me," she murmured. Voice cracked, almost swallowed by the wind. Eli swallowed hard. He set her down near the hearth, lit a fire. Sparks danced in the gloom. He stripped off her soaked, shredded coat. Bruises marred her skin. Cuts ran along her arms like angry red lines. She'd been through hell, and whatever it was, it had followed her here. He wrapped her in a blanket, pressed a rag to a bleeding hand. His own hands shook, part fear, part frustration. Who did this to her? Who was chasing her? The storm outside pressed in, rattling windows like skeletal fingers, and yet Eli couldn't turn away. There was something about her, something haunted, raw, that mirrored pieces of himself he'd long buried. She shivered, teeth chattering. He pulled the blanket tighter, muttering, "You're safe now." But even as he spoke, the words felt hollow. There was no safety out here, not in the rain, not in the shade. Owls of the hills. Then she whispered, "Bull," almost drowned by the fire's crackle. "They're coming." Eli froze. A shadow moved outside, hunched against the wind. The boards of the porch groaned. Rain spattered like bullets against the windows. His gut knotted tight. And in that moment, he realized this night was far from over, far from safe. The fire crackled, casting flickering shadows across the cabin walls. Eli knelt by the stranger, trying to read the story etched in her bruises, her haunted eyes. "Who did this to you?" he asked, voice low, careful. She flinched, then shook her head. "It's too late," she muttered, voice trembling like dry leaves in the wind. Eli didn't press. He knew better. The truth had a way of coming out slow, bits and pieces, hints, and right now he had only fragments. A torn cloak, mud-streaked boots, eyes that carried a storm. That was enough to ignite the questions. Footsteps outside, soft, quick, then silence. His gut clenched. The wind carried a strange echo. Maybe a branch snapping, maybe a man creeping in the dark. Eli stiffened, eyes darting to the doorway, hand inching toward the old revolver on the shelf. "I ran," she said finally, words breaking through the hush. "From them, the men, from what I did." Her voice trembled, barely audible. Fear clung to her like wet wool. She wasn't just wounded, she was hunted, and the closer he listened, the more he realized it wasn't just the storm outside that wanted her dead. Eli's mind raced. Every instinct screamed to shelter her, and yet he couldn't shake the suspicion gnawing at his bones. What if she wasn't just a victim? What if the danger she carried was bigger than he could see? A faint crack split the night, a gunshot, distant, echoing off the hills. She flinched violently, grabbing his arm. "They'll find us soon," she whispered, lips quivering, eyes wide. Eli's heart thumped. Footprints. Pressed into the mud outside, large, deliberate. Someone, or several someones, was moving closer, and he knew the truth would not stay hidden for long. He knelt beside her, voice steady. "We'll get through this, one step at a time." But even as he said it, he could feel the tension wrapping tighter around them, a rope that might snap any second. She leaned slightly into him, trusting, desperate, and yet her eyes flickered with a shadow he couldn't name, a secret, a warning. The wind rattled the window panes. A howl, long, eerie, rose from the hills. Or was it another gunshot? Eli couldn't tell. And in that uncertain, shivering pause, he realized the night was far from over. The stranger's hand clutched his arm tighter, whispering again, "They'll find us soon?" The storm slammed harder now. Rain hammered the roof, wind tore at the shutters, and the dark hills beyond the cabin seemed to writhe in shadow. Eli moved fast, his boots squelching in the mud. Every table, every chair, every scrap of wood became a weapon or a barricade. Nails pulled from the walls, planks jammed across doors. He set the old rifle on the porch, ready, eyes scanning the night. She watched him, trembling, knees tucked beneath her. Her lips were pale, teeth clenched. "I betrayed someone," she whispered, voice shaking. "Someone I thought I could trust." Eli's eyes narrowed. Betrayal. That was a dangerous word out here. He didn't ask who, not yet. He didn't need to. He just knew this night was far from ordinary. Every shadow might hide a man with a gun, a rope, or worse. A creak on the floorboards. His hand went to the revolver. The fire flickered. Shadows danced across the walls. He caught the smallest movement near the window. "Eli, please," she murmured, eyes wide, voice quivering. "Don't let him see us." The words hit him harder than the storm outside. His heart thudded in his chest. The stakes weren't just about shelter now. They were about survival, about trust, about lives dangling by a thread. He crouched low, listening. Footsteps outside, soft but deliberate. Something, or someone, was moving closer. The wind whistled through the cracks in the cabin, carrying whispers that could have been voices. Eli grabbed a heavy lamp, balanced it like a torch, ready to blind the intruder. Every breath was a prayer. Every heartbeat was a drum of warning. He peeked through the slats of the boarded window. And there, emerging from the black, was a figure. Tall, silent, moving with purpose. Lantern light caught the glint of a gunmetal barrel. Eli's pulse raced. The stranger's hand shot into his arm. "No, don't let him see us," she hissed, eyes wild with terror. He froze. Every muscle tensed. Rain and shadow wrapped around them like a living thing, pressing close, threatening to crush them both. The fire sputtered, throwing the room into near darkness, and the figure paused just beyond the porch. Eli's mind raced. Fight or flight. There was no time for hesitation. Every second counted. Every second could be the one that saved or ended them both. And in that suspended, trembling moment, he realized the danger was no longer a story told by the storm. It was real, immediate. And right outside, in the rain and shadow, it was waiting for them. The rain hadn't stopped. If anything, it fell harder, turning the yard into a mirror of mud and shadows. Eli crouched behind the barricaded door, revolver in hand, heart hammering. The stranger huddled beside him, teeth chattering, eyes wide with fear. "They're out there," she whispered, voice tight, almost broken. They want me. For what I did." Eli didn't flinch. He had seen fear before, but this was different. It wrapped around her like a cloak, heavy and suffocating. And yet, there was something more. Remorse, guilt, secrets buried so deep they made the night itself tremble. Footsteps pressed against the porch. A shadow moved along the edge of the lantern's light. He could see the shapes now, tall, hard men, eyes cold, hands twitching near guns. Eli's fists clenched. They weren't just hunters. They were executioners, merciless and determined. "Eli," she murmured, voice barely audible over the storm. It's too late for me." He shook his head. "Not if I can help it." And then it began. A figure slammed against the door. Wood splintered. Another kicked the window, glass cracking. Eli fired, the sound sharp and loud, echoing into the hills. One went down, groaning. Another hesitated. And Eli saw his chance, grab the lamp, toss it to startle them, force them back. The stranger's hands clutched his arm. Her fear was palpable, but there was something else too, something unspoken, a betrayal, a debt unpaid. Something in her eyes told Eli the storm outside was nothing compared to the storm she carried inside. Gunfire crackled in the mud. Shadows lunged. Eli moved fast, precise. Every action calculated. Protect her. Keep them alive. One step. One breath. He threw a plank against the back door, locking it with his shoulder, feeling the splinter dig into his skin. And then the leader spoke. His voice cut through the rain, deep and cold. "Clara." The name hit Eli like a fist. "Clara." The stranger froze. Her eyes widened. She sank lower, trembling. "If they find me," she whispered, voice barely a breath, "we're both done." Eli's stomach knotted. He realized then that this night, this storm, this hunt, it wasn't just about survival. It was about reckoning, and the reckoning had just arrived. The night dragged on, relentless. Rain had slowed to a stubborn drizzle, but the mud still clung to boots and hooves alike. Eli crouched behind the barricade, eyes fixed on the shadowed yard. The pursuers had circled, patient, cruel, but patience only buys a man so much time. Eli had a plan, or as close as he could get on a night like this. "Clara," he whispered, voice rough from shouting and fear, "you need to trust me, now more than ever." Her eyes met his, wide and haunted. I betrayed them," she admitted, voice shaking, lips trembling. "I never meant—" "He died. Because of me. That's why I said, it's too late." Eli's jaw tightened. Not just a hunted woman now. She carried a weight that could crush both of them if they faltered. But there was no time for sorrow. Footsteps moved closer. Shadows twisted near the cabin walls. He whispered a quick plan. "Stick close. Follow my lead. Don't make a sound until I give it." The first man kicked the door. Wood splintered. Eli lunged, tossing a lamp to the side to blind them. Firelight danced in a frantic pulse. The stranger ducked low, heart hammering in her chest. Shots rang out. Mud spat up from flying boots. Eli moved with precision, each step measured, each breath shallow. One pursuer went down, clutching a shoulder. Another hesitated, then stumbled over the slick ground. The storm and the dark worked in Eli's favor. He led them into the trap he'd set. Fallen logs, loose boards, the terrain itself a weapon. Finally, the leader appeared. Tall, cold, eyes hard as steel. "Clara!" he called, voice slicing through the night. Rage and fear mixed in every syllable. She froze. Pain, guilt, and fear flashed across her face. Eli placed a steady hand on her back, grounding her. He caught a glimpse of the truth in her eyes, the betrayal, the death, the remorse she could never forget. With one final desperate move, Eli lured the leader into the mud, forcing him to slip, buying Clara the chance to escape inside. The rest of the men, shaken, disoriented, retreated. Rain-slicked hills swallowed them back into shadow. Dawn broke slow and golden, spilling light across the battered cabin. Clara breathed deeply, shoulders sagging, eyes still haunted. "It's never truly over, is it?" she murmured. Eli shook his head gently. "Maybe not, but you're alive, and that's enough for now." She looked at him, gratitude and sorrow tangled together. The storm had passed, but the weight of the past lingered, heavy and unyielding. Yet in that fragile morning there was hope, a chance, however small, to begin again. The camera lingers on the ranch, dew glinting on the fence, smoke curling from the chimney. The sun rises, steady, indifferent, and though the immediate danger had vanished, a question remained. Could she ever truly live free of what she had done?